What is up, vinyl community? Back again for another video, only this time I have a special guest flown in all the way from Denver, Colorado here to Columbus, Ohio. We did a meetup and we've been hanging out the last few days, going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as well as record stores all over the state.
Yeah, John. Yeah, thanks Corey for opening up your home.
Welcome.
Flew in, I guess Wednesday evening, late afternoon, early afternoon. I don't even remember what time I got.
It's morning for you, afternoon for me.
Right, because of the time change. And yeah, you know, we've been kind of planning to do this for several years now, but for various reasons, just wasn't able to make it happen. But finally glad to be able to get some time off and come down and just spend some good quality time with hanging out with Corey and his family, and then like you said, hitting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then literally record stores pretty much all over the state. I don't even know how many we went to.
He actually has to catch a flight here in just a few minutes, we got to get out of here in just a few minutes for a flight, but we thought, well, let's get the camera on and share. So this is a classic VC video, kind of a meetup. We want to talk a little bit about the Rock Hall of Fame, our experience there, and some pros and cons. We also set the camera up while we were driving up there and back, so I'll just be doing some editing to keep this video going forward. So if you're a music fan, a vinyl community member, and you want to kind of get an inside look at the Rock Hall of Fame and hear a little discussion about Ohio record stores, you come to the right place. So I think we'll just get started with what were some of your expectations. The following morning we're going to the Rock Hall of Fame. You've never been there. What were some of your expectations of the just the Rock Hall of Fame experience?
I think initially, even before I got on the plane to come out here, I guess I had my preconceived notions, my personal opinions about what I thought about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I tried to kind of clear all that away and not have expectations, because honestly, I didn't know what it was like, right? I didn't know kind of how it was set up. I know that they changed stuff a lot, from my understanding, with different exhibits and stuff.
The biggest thing for me is just kind of, I don't know what's the word, reaffirming my love of the history, and we actually get to go in and see it, right? And it'll take you back, even if you weren't alive. You can still transport back.
Yeah, my expectations were, I hope they had changed some things around. I hope they had added some stuff. I knew a lot of it was going to be I've only been there 3 times, and the second time I've been there was about 4 years ago, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. So I was expecting a lot of the same things, but I was hoping for some fresh stuff. There needs to be a place that honors the music and the artists and the musicians.
That's ingrained in our culture.
That's here. Yeah, it's part of the culture, and we don't want to lose that. For a legacy reason, I appreciate the Rock Hall's here. It's close enough, so let's go visit it and check out kind of and just kind of enjoy, everything that's up there and that it has to offer. I tell my wife not to buy because I'm like, they're ridiculous. The name of the product is ridiculous. It's Sweet and Salty Nut.
What are they?
Sweet and Salty Nut. It's like, I don't want, no.
Sweet and salty.
So this is all the artists that are in.
Oh, that are in.
But it's by order of induction.
Yeah.
So I don't think I did by alphabetical. And then this are the artists that are kind of bigger names
That aren't in.
that are not in. These would be snubs. And so this would be how many years they were snubbed since the Rock Hall opened and they quote unquote should have been in, and then how many times they were nominated. The bigger the print, as you see here, like Carole King, like the bigger the print, probably the more influential or more. So the bigger the print, the more prominent that person.
Carole King.
And then I hand wrote or typed in some ones that I felt that should be added at the very last page. So take a look at that and discuss.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah,
The power chord. I mean, Lee Gray. The guy was like the first one of the first rock and roll rebels.
I guess we'll just end up going through that list and be like, just repeat their name a couple of times. We'll repeat the name 3 times and a little bit more despondent each time.
Steppenwolf. It'd be funny if we're talking and all of a sudden we get offended and we start getting into a fight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
In the
like
car.
go into a fist fight.
Like, whatever, dude. Ow!
Go old school.
And everyone
get real angry.
Check out Just That Vinyl's new video. Him and
Controversy.
record,
Every other blues player.
Yeah, why is John Coltrane? Miles Davis is in there. Why is it John Coltrane?
So I know it's not the Jazz Hall of Fame, but that's a great example where it should cross over.
Crossed over.
I mean, John Coltrane.
He died, really. I mean, he didn't get an opportunity to do what Miles did with bringing in rock elements to it like he did. So maybe that's their thinking behind
what you said to me before we went in there. You said the best way to do this is not spend too much time in one section. You know, get your pictures. You know, read your little excerpts on the different exhibits. But you were like, John, literally we could spend 4 hours just on the first floor and not even touch everything. Right.
And the second time I went, I had the window open, so the birds are going to be chiming in. So that's okay. It's a nice relaxing.
They have something to say too.
Well, I mean, are we going to get a YouTube strike for the birds chirping in the background?
Well, it depends. Are they chirping out an Eagles song or a Don Henley song?
Right, shut you down. Or they'll put an ad in front of the video.
New text message from Aaron, Metal Theologian.
The Metal Theologian.
Yeah, man. Let's listen to Aaron's message.
Hey, if you don't know us, this is a record you need to check out.
All right, we'll check that out, Aaron, when I'm not driving. This is my first question. How's my driving so far? You've been riding in the car with me for
fantastic.
3 hours.
You drive like I do. You're an offensive driver, right? You don't wait for seriously. You don't wait for people to cut you off. You take charge.
That's how I'm hardwired, right?
You can tell you're not from the South. People in the South don't drive like that.
Well, that said, you feel like I do give the right away and drive polite, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Except for that little old lady who ran off the road, but we won't talk about that.
Well, she deserved it. That's what I feel.
She did. She shouldn't have been out on the freeway with her walker.
Being a Heartbreakers fan, there was not one picture, poster, guitar, write-up, nothing about Tom Petty. Like, if someone who knew nothing and never even heard of Tom Petty, you come in there and you wouldn't even know he even existed. There was the only thing that was written down is when you go into the signature room, which I think that was on the top floor, right?
Yeah, middle or top, on our way up, yeah, third floor.
You go in and then they have all the artists who have been inducted since 1985, since the beginning of it. And then they have their signatures on this wall, and then they have like an alphabetized list of, here's who's been inducted, everybody up to present.
Basically a web page on black glass with backlit of all the names.
Right. It said Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, that he was inducted in 2002. That was it. Tom Petty, in my opinion, and the Heartbreakers are one of the most important American rock and roll bands. I believe they were one of the last true great American rock and roll bands. They were relevant in every day.
For us, but overall I think that was a great experience as far as people and being able to take pictures and see what we wanted to see.
Right, that was actually great. Not necessarily having the place to ourselves, but I mean there were a few times in certain sections or rooms where we were the only two people in there, or maybe there was one other person in there.
And I've never had that happen before.
So you didn't have to fight for getting up to read the little write-ups or to take pictures if you wanted to, without having a row of heads in the picture.
And that was really a bonus because last time I was there was enough people where you couldn't wait. If you waited till people got out of the way for a picture, you'd never get through.
Right.
So you just end up taking pictures with people on the way anyway.
I mean, I don't think anything just blew me away. I think I had the potential to be impressed if we would have been able to go into the live studio rooms where you can actually pick up and play the instruments. But of course that was shut down because of COVID. But that would have been, that was,
you even tested the door, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I tested both of them. Just to see.
And that didn't set any alarms off, but I did set an alarm off. I was waving my arms around the Guns N' Roses exhibit, and I was trying to point to how cool.
Remove your arm. Please
the siren started going off, a light started going off. It says, please, keep your hands away from the exhibit. I wasn't even close.
But it kept saying it over, and then the siren's going off.
And
everyone's looking at us. Like we tried to jump over the rail or something.
The the information that's on display in the exhibits was less and less and less and less, and then you get to the top, right, and then it's like one small section, or in some cases, absolutely nothing, like Led Zeppelin.
Regardless of how you feel about Led Zeppelin or Jimmy Page,
Or
he
Tom
is
Petty.
so influential on the history and the development, especially of the electric guitar. I mean, the guy was a session musician during the early mid-60s.
Right.
He was in the Yardbirds, and then
Right.
the new Yardbirds eventually turned into Zeppelin. Like, to not have anything mentioned about him.
Really odd.
This is odd to me for a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
There was a Led Zeppelin poster, like a show bill from like 1969 or something like that, and then
John Paul Jones,
organ, and that was it. There's nothing on Robert Plant. There's nothing on Jimmy Page.
And then you looked it up later and found out.
Yeah, I looked it up, and apparently there was an exhibit that was set up in somewhere in New York, like something like Experience Zeppelin type project, or I don't remember exactly what it was called, but that was going to be transferred to the Rock Hall in Cleveland, and Jimmy Page was like, nope, I'm not sending my guitars there, I'm not sending my outfits there, I'm not sending my handwritten lyric notes there. So I'm assuming that's why they didn't have really anything on Led Zeppelin. There was no Led Zeppelin section, which to me, for a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, how's that possible?
There are more items in Hard Rock Cafe that I've noticed than some artists in the Rock Hall.
Right.
So, but it was really nice to see, to be immersed by all of that again, and take a look at everything. And the Jimi Hendrix stuff is really cool.
Yeah,
I think I
Jimi
noticed.
Hendrix room was cool, for sure. They had all his outfits, various outfits he wore during his career, very short career.
The guitar section was updated, so they have an area where, in the instrument area, they have an area just for guitars, and so the guitars are suspended between plexiglass, and these are just iconic guitars. For example, they had David Gilmour's guitar.
Black Strat.
Yeah, the Black Strat was there, which was wow, and I think it was the one that was auctioned just recently, last year or two. That was really impressive for me.
Oh, no.
So right now, what are we, 70% complaining about the Rock Hall, 20% liked
much,
it,
yeah.
10%
I mean, I'm
complained
glad
about
it was
the
a good
staff.
time. I'm glad we went. Got a lot of pictures. It was a good, fun time to be able to go around, but there left a lot to be desired.
Because I would say, like, the Rock Hall of Fame, everybody should visit it once, right? Would you agree that you?
I agree.
You don't
If you're a
regret
fan
going?
of that music, a real fan, like you really love rock music in general, I think you should, if you get the opportunity, try to see it at least one time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we went on a record store tear. We first hit Elizabeth Records in Columbus, Ohio, and then the next day after the Rock Hall, we hit Hausfrau Records in Cleveland. The other stores were closed by the time we were done. So then we took a trip the following day to Cincinnati, and we hit Shake It Records, and then we went to Phil's Records in
Shake It
Kentucky.
Records.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then we hit Plaid Room Records in Loveland, Ohio. And then the following day in Columbus, we went to Used Kids Records, Spoonful, and Magnolia Thunderpussy. So we knocked out an incredible amount of stores. You got to really log and check the box on a lot of stores. What are some of your highlights at hitting all these stores?
Well, I know you know where I'm going to go. First thing I'm going to mention, Shake It Records, which was the first store we went to.
Cincinnati, north side of Cincinnati, infamous, or not infamous, but kind of a famous store, certainly in the Ohio area. Maybe you saw it on some different features or different movies. It was featured briefly on a documentary on The National, the Cincinnati band called The National. There's a documentary on Netflix you can watch called Mistaken for Strangers, and Shake It Records is in there. But the thing that was different for me, and I'll give it right back to you, was Shake It was closed for a period of time, and during that time they reorganized the whole store. So for me, when you got to go there, it was organized, it was clean.
I just assumed it was always like that.
No.
Right.
It wasn't a disaster, but let me just, it was a big difference. So like when you walked in, what was the first thing that walk me through the store virtually?
Well, yeah, when you walk in, it was very inviting. It seemed very organized to me. Corey was like, you know, a lot of the used stuff, kind of the bargain stuff, and I think the jazz was downstairs, and we weren't even downstairs for very long. We did that right before we left. But the thing that was cool to me is, you know, anyone who's been collecting records for a long time, if you have like grails on your mind, like records you've been looking for forever and they're usually overpriced, those records are either few and far between in certain record stores. Maybe they have one or two, and they're always behind the counter on the wall. But for this store, they did have stuff on the wall, but they had bins or crates set up where you don't have to, you know, go ask someone to see that record, that you can just go through, and they even have listed like collectibles or, you know, rare records. And that first box I went through was like Grail, Grail. And then, of course, the highlight, finding that 6 LP Allman Brothers set Dreams, which I've never seen it in a record store, and I've wanted that for so long.
That's a nice score.
And I remember I wasn't even going to look through those box sets because it was back behind where I found some of those other grills.
Oh, right.
And I was like, yeah, you know, box sets, whatever. And then I was like, okay, I'll look. And the first one there was Dreams. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Pulling that one out, so that was great. I knocked a lot of wants off the list.
Is he just telling people to slow the heck down?
Probably.
Okay, I can do that.
I just flipped them off, so.
No.
I'm kidding, I didn't.
It's construction workers. We have to respect construction workers.
Dude, I did street road construction. It was brutal. Talk about a thankless job. Everybody thinks you're just standing around doing nothing, but you're not.
I don't know. Whenever I pass them, they're leaning on a shovel. No, but yeah. So he taught me how.
So look, guys. So I have to say. So those that are familiar with the CTI label know that well, you can provide a little bit of the history of the label, but really nice gatefolds, laminate covers. You know, I saw like Joe Farrell, you know, Canned Heat, Canned Funk album, and saw that on Grown Man Record Night, and immediately went and bought it in San Diego, and just kind of got me way into it. Like I got Penny Arcade. So anyway, I needed help because jazz sections are very big. I don't have a lot of attention span. A lot of times there's just a lot of filler in the jazz sections or beat up junk. So my mission this time, and it ended up getting out of control, was to have John, my CTI expert.
CTI. Every place we went to.
So I was a lazy man. So he was digging through the records and pulling out stuff for me to buy, and I think I ended up getting like 11 or 12 CTI titles. 12 CTI titles, and many of them for $6 to $10.
Yep,
then,
the most
so
you spent on one was I think $19, and that was the Freddie Hubbard one. Yeah, literally. You know, Corey's obviously known my affinity for CTI. I think I did one of those contests, like top 5 favorite record labels, and I featured CTI and all that stuff when I got 150 subs or whatever the thing was. I don't even remember. But so I'm always telling Corey, like, Corey, because I have all CTI records. I have multiple copies. Anytime I see them, I buy them because they're so inexpensive still to this day. I don't think that's going to last, but so I'll buy them. And I'm always like, Corey, you've got to listen to this record. You've got to check out this guy. You've got to check out, you know, Freddie Hubbard, blah. You got to check out, you know, Diodato.
And this is exactly where you're going to find the CTIs. So this is like, I don't know.
Because they're bargain. People think they're bargain bin records.
Yeah, exactly, and they're overlooked, and a lot of people like the common stuff, and they're just like me. They're not looking for those CTIs, which is the perfect place because these Easter eggs are sitting there hiding, and not only that, they were hiding at all the stores we went to, except for one. One of the ones that we were looking for we didn't find, but I'll be on the lookout for it. But yeah, just pulling the CTIs out. I've really added to my CTI collection. I'll probably do a label spotlight on that sometime in the future.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that if you do it.
So guys, thanks for watching. I think we can just wrap up here. John, thanks for coming out. You've been a great guest. Enjoyed my time hanging out with you. Guys, check out John's channel. I'll put a link below. So I just want to say I appreciate you coming out, helping me find all those CTIs. Just made you know, being in Columbus, Ohio, and being able to share that with somebody else from you know, give you the inside view.
Right.
But thanks, John, for coming out and
yeah, you know, again, thanks, Corey. This has been an epic trip, like you said. I'll remember it forever. Something I really needed. Obviously, most of us have been locked in our homes, not going anywhere. So this was the perfect outlet, and just to be able to see most of Ohio, really. I mean, I have family, friends who were in Columbus, Ohio, so it's not like I haven't been here before, but I actually had not been to Cleveland, I had never been to Cincinnati. So
Kentucky too.
yeah, and Kentucky, I forgot about that. To be able to, just have you as kind of the tour guide, and take me where you think that I need, places that you think thought I needed to see, was great. So thank you for opening up your home to me and sharing your music room with me, and it's been a fantastic trip. So
awesome. All right, thanks guys for coming along. Thanks for watching. Everybody out in the vinyl community, take care.
Peace.